तमसोमा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्युर्मामृतं गमय। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। या कुन्देन्दुतुषारहारधवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रावृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युतशङ्करप्रभृतिभिः देवैः सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निःशेषजाड्यापहा।
Now I request Honorable Dr. K. and Guru Prasad sir to welcome our chief guest virtually.
AV team, please play. Yeah.
Now I request Dr. Namit Gupta sir, Dean Engineering and Architecture and Director SVITS, Shri Vaishnav Vidyapeeth Vishwavidyalaya, Indore, to throw some light on the National Conference Praygyata 2023. So,
Thank you, Ocean ma'am. At the outset, I would first like to extend my warm welcome for a very wonderful morning to the occasion. Dr. S. Venkata Mohan, Chief Scientist, CSIR, IICT Hyderabad, Dr. K. N. Guru Prasad, Dean Faculty of Science and Director, Shri Vaishnav Institute of Science, SVV Indore, Rector and Dean FDSR, Dr. Santosh Dhar, all other Deans and Directors of Vaishnav Vidyapeeth Vishwavidyalaya, faculty members and participants. I welcome you all for this third National. The theme of this year's conference is Sustainable Infrastructure, Challenges and Opportunities. Infrastructure consists of basic systems and facilities, including transportation, buildings, communication systems, water supply, power supply, etc. And infrastructure development is very essential to facilitate country's economic development and reduce poverty. However, all infrastructural development comes at the cost of some harm to the environment. And that is why the word of or the terms like sustainable infrastructure or the focus has now shifted to the sustainable infrastructure. Energy sector, be it transportation sector, be it irrigation sector, or be it sanitation sector, all are affecting the environment. But now the efforts are going on to make use, that is to reduce, recycle and reuse the infrastructural materials which were being dumped previously. So now there are many challenges, many opportunities for us, and this 23 is an effort from our side to provide platform to the researchers of the country to showcase their ideas and thoughts and share with us the ideas and thoughts for building a better and a sustainable infrastructural country. So the program is of 2 days. The 2-day schedule will go in this way. Today, after the inaugural session, that is right now, we'll have plenary session 1 from 12 p.m. The session chair of the plenary session will be Dr. K. N. Guru Prasad and co-chair will be Dr. Jigyasu Dubey. Speakers for today's plenary session 1 are Dr. Kumar Pallav, Professor, Cape Peninsula, University of Technology, South Africa. Dr. Naveen Quatra, Professor, Thapar University, Patiala, and Dr. Rahul V. Ralegaonkar, Professor, VNIT, Nagpur. The moderator will be Professor Rekha Shinde and rapporteur will be Professor Gaurav Awasthi. Today, after the first plenary session, we'll have a comfort break or a lunch break, and post-lunch session will be a technical session. Tomorrow, that is day 2, we'll have 2 plenary sessions. We'll begin at 11 a.m. with plenary session 2. The topic of this plenary session is community transformation through sustainable environment and water resource management. Session chair will be Dr. V.R. Sampath, Professor and Director, SVITT. Session co-chair will be Dr. Uttam Sharma, Professor and Head, Physics Department. The speakers for tomorrow's first session will be Dr. M.V. Reddy, Scientist, New Graphite World, Canada. Dr. G. Janardhana, Professor NITTR, Chennai, and Dr. S.M. Yadav, Professor SVNIT, Surat. Moderator will be Professor Shivam Chaturvedi and rapporteur will be Professor Vijay Pandey. Later in the afternoon, we have second plenary session tomorrow on the theme Sustainability in Transportation Geotechnics. Dr. Santosh Dhar, Rector and Dean FDSR, will be the session chair, and Dr. Ashutosh Shukla, Professor and Head SVIFS, will be the session co-chair. Tomorrow's speakers will be Dr. Brajesh Kumar Dubey, Professor IIT Kharagpur, Engineer E. Thinakaran, Team Leader, Vellore Corporation, Shah Technical Consultants Private Limited, and Dr. ISC, Bangalore. Rahul Sharma will be the moderator and Professor Rakesh Verma will be the rapporteur. So, and after the lunch break tomorrow, we'll have technical session 2 and 3. We have received very good response from all over the country for this conference. And we have received many number of papers, out of which 30 shortlisted papers will be read by the different research scholars during the 3 technical sessions today and tomorrow. So I hope that this platform or this conference will become milestone for the researchers in the field of sustainable infrastructure. So once again, I welcome you all and I thank you, sir, for sparing your valuable time with us, and happy learning to all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Honorable Dr. K.N. Guruprasad, sir, Dean Science and Director SVIS, Shri Vaishnav Vidyapeeth Vishwavidyalaya, Indore, to deliver welcome address. So,
thank you, Madam Oshin. Chief guest for the Praygyata 23, Dr. Venkat Mohan, Dr. Namit Gupta, Director SVITs, Dr. Anand Babu, Head of the Civil Department, heads of the department, institutes, and other participants. Sustainable development in infrastructure is the theme of this year's conference. Since civil engineering is one of the basic needs of the humans, along with food, clothes, and shelter. So civil engineering looks to the shelter part of our life. And also it has spread to other areas now, especially since the transportation has enhanced and it is posing its own problems. Now, the eco-friendly material, water conservation, carbon footprint, and pollution, all of them are contributing to infrastructure development. Infrastructure development needs to take care of all these areas to make it sustainable. I was in a conference on sustainability, and there were some scientists. One of them was an extremist, and he gave an analogy that to eradicate malaria, we have to eradicate the mosquitoes. because of which the malaria spreads. So he gave an extreme solution. Suppose we remove one species from this earth, earth will become sustainable again. And that was an impractical solution, but still theoretically, it focused the importance of human activities. So he said, if we remove the Homo sapiens, the earth will automatically become sustainable. Now, that was his contention in the extreme, in his extreme thought. Now, since we don't have an option to do that, so how do we make the earth sustainable, especially with reference to the civil engineering and construction? We have many experts who would be enlightening us on this subject. But still, as common people, we can see that, especially in the urban areas, there is a lot of vertical growth that is increasing the density of people on the roads, since people can be made to stay vertical, but when they have to move around, it has to be horizontal. And that is increasing both the density of the people and also the density of the vehicles on the roads. Some of the countries have very stringent rules about the traffic movement and movement of people. Like, for example, I remember when I was in Japan, it was a person is allowed to buy a car. If a person wanted to buy a car, the first thing he had to prove to the municipality was that he has a parking space where the car can be parked. Only then a person is allowed. If there is a building of, say, 50 houses, then there will be only 50 parking places made in that building. So no one can buy the extra car unless there is a parking space which the person has to prove to the government that he has a parking space to buy the car. Now, some of these stringent rules which we do not have in our country, but we may soon have to train ourselves to observe these rules if we are very serious about sustainability and regulation of pollution and other things. Another thing that comes to my mind when I talk of civil engineering is the adoption of indigenous techniques to make it more sustainable. Now, there is also a move by the University Grants Commission to recognize people who are known as the practicing professors. It is not that you find a solution only after studying in a college or a university and getting a degree and then think of a solution. That we have many experts, indigenous experts in rural areas who are well versed with sustainability, who may not have gone to colleges. So UGC now has a scheme to recognize them as practicing professors. I believe civil engineering needs these kinds of people, collaboration of these kinds of people to think of new ways of sustainability in whatever they are doing, and also to introduce our students to indigenous methods of sustainability, which we can adopt easily because sustainable methods are governed by the environmental factors, the regional factors, and other factors. Availability of the indigenous materials. So I believe this is another requirement to integrate our indigenous knowledge with our modern education in order to make it more sustainable. With these introductions, on behalf of the university, I welcome the chief guest, Dr. Venkat Mohan, once again, and we look forward to informative lectures on sustainability in these 2 days of the conference. Thank you. Over to you, Madam Oshi.
Thank you so much, sir, for your thought-provoking address. Indeed, this has set a perfect example and platform for our speakers to deliver their presentation in sustainable infrastructure. Thank you, sir. Now it is time to release conference book, Sustainable Infrastructure Challenges and Opportunities 2023. Now, I would like to request Professor Vaibhav Singh, co-convener Praygyata 2023, to present the citation of Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. S. Venkata. Sir.
Good morning, distinguished guests and everyone. Welcome to the inaugural ceremony of Praygyata 2023, a national conference on sustainable infrastructure, challenges and opportunities. It gives me immense pleasure to read citation of our chief guest, Dr. S. Venkata Mohan, who has graciously accepted our invitation to join us today. I quote, Dr. S. Venkata Mohan is presently Chief Scientist in CSIR, Indian Institute of Chemical Technology, Hyderabad. He is a recipient of coveted Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Award for the year 2014 in Engineering Sciences from the Government of India. Dr. Mohan was visiting professor at Kyoto University, Alexander von Humboldt Fellow at Technical University of Munich, Germany, Kyung-hee International Fellow, South Korea. He has been placed at 2nd position in India and 29th position in the world in the field of biotechnology by a Stanford study on 2% global scientist list. His research mainly intends to understand and respond to the human-induced environmental change in the framework of sustainability in the interface of environment and bioengineering. He explored the potential of negatively valued waste as a viable alternative feedstock for harnessing low carbon energy materials by developing novel and sustainable technologies through a nexus approach. He has successfully demonstrated the production of green biohydrogen with cementous waste remediation at pilot scale and established a first of its kind a waste biorefinery petroleum platform. Dr. Mohan is elected Fellow of National Academy of Engineering, Bio Research Society of India, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh Academy of Sciences, International Forum on Industrial Bioprocesses, Institution of Engineers, and International Society for Energy, Environment and Sustainability. Along with 9 patents, he has authored more than 500 research publications in refereed journal and is having more than 19,500 citations. Dr. Mohan has many awards to his credit: DBT Tata Innovation Fellow, Vaishvik Award in Environmental Science and Technology, National Bioscience Award by Department of Biotechnology, SERB IGCW for Biohydrogen Technology from DST SERB, Environmental Engineering Design Award by National Design and Research Forum NDRF of the Institution of Engineers India, NASI Scopus Young Scientist Award in Earth, Oceanography and Environmental Science are few of them. Unquote. Shri Vaishnav Vidyapit Vishwavidyalaya is privileged to present this citation to Dr. S. Venkata Mohan for gracing the 3rd edition of Praygyata as Chief Guest on 28th April 2023. Thank you again for being here with us today, sir. We are honored to have you with us. Now, I would like to invite Dr. S. Venkata Mohan, sir, to address the gathering.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Singh, for citation. It's my honor today to be part of this event, and I would like to thank Vice Chancellor, Director of Sri Vaishnava Vidyapit Vishwavidyalaya. This is a wonderful opportunity for me to share our work, which we are doing in sustainable development. And also I would like to thank Professor Babu as well as Professor Gupta for again choosing me for this important event. I would like to share my presentation. Please So hope you are able to see my presentation.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Yeah. Voice is also clear, na?
Yeah, voice is also clear.
I have 30 minutes of time.
No problem, sir.
Again, I would like to thank the university for giving me opportunity with Viswavidyalaya, and also very good morning to all the participants as well as faculty. I am basically a civil engineer working specialized in environmental engineering. And for past 20 years, I am working on advanced waste remediation methods, basically looking into resource recovery from waste as a major enabler. So in this process, we started working on biological routes. Basically, biological routes are more sustainable compared to chemical-based wastewater management. So in this presentation, I would like to discuss upon the resource recovery aspects, particularly with respect to energy generation as well as chemicals production from waste streams, including gaseous emissions, by adopting natural-based climate solutions towards sustainable development. So I am from Indian Institute of Chemical Technology, which is a premier research laboratory under Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. My department, basically energy and environmental engineering, we used to work on we used to support the process which is being developed at IICT with respect to environment as well as sustainability. And apart from that, we also do basic and applied research. My main focus is on developing biological routes using various biocatalysts, namely bacteria, yeast, as well as microalgae, in some cases fungus also, and try to use feedstocks such as wastewater, microalgae, agriculture biomass, as well as gaseous emissions such as CO2 and syngas as feedstock to convert into energy and chemicals such as hydrogen, HCNG, as well as fatty acids, succinic acid, or lipids. So our approach will be sustainability was the main approach. We look into circular bioeconomy as an enabler by taking support from life cycle analysis as well as developing biorefineries, which some of the things I would like to explain in this presentation. So this is the overview of my presentation. I would like to speak on climate change, why climate change we needs to be considered very seriously. Try to discuss on fossils versus circular economy, which is again a very important entity that needs to be infused into the economic system, and discuss about natural-based solutions, why we have to use natural-based solutions for sustainable development, and few examples which we are doing in IICT. And finally, I would like to conclude with showing some of the models which we have developed and the models which can be taken up for development in future. So starting with the energy, everybody knows that we are dependent on energy for all our requirements. So particularly after industrialization, like 1950, there is significant improvement, significant increase in utility of fossils for our energy requirements from coal, oil, and gas, which you can see from this graph. Incremental increase is there, exponential, I would like to say. So this increase is one way good for economy. However, when we look into environmental aspects, the climate change, other things, this is creating a lot of problem. We have to move towards something sustainable. That's why throughout the globe, there is movement towards sustainability, sustainable renewable fuels. So as far now global energy mix is concerned, mostly we are going with fossil-based feedstock for energy requirement. Only near to 15 to 20% is from renewable resources. So mostly it's from coal, oil, gas, little bit from nuclear, and little more from hydropower. So when we look into the Indian context, India is world's third largest consumer of energy, as well as third largest producer of renewable energy. So especially our solar and wind power has increased significantly in recent times when we look into the MNRE report. However, we have still a lot of potential to move towards something sustainable by using bioresources. So the potential, when we look into this table, you can see this from MNRE. The installed capacity is only less than 4. but we have huge potential, near 22 gigawatts of potential, which we can be recovered. So not only for energy, I would like to show this slide, which I have took from United States Department of Energy, wherein all the materials at present which we are using is again sourced from raw material, fossil-based raw materials such as petroleum, natural gas. So all blue and red lines you can see is coming to the materials, whatever right now we are using. So we can say that we are fossil-based economy. We are dependent on fossils. And also our fossil-based economy is again a linear economy, which is a very significant issue needs to be addressed. So we know that fossils are very finite in nature. With the present consumption pattern, fossils will not be available after 2030 with the present consumption pattern. There will be depletion. So we have to search for materials, either for energy or for our chemicals or material requirements that are more renewable, and our dependency should be reduced, particularly with respect to the fossil-based resources. So this is the data which I took from Circularity Gap report in 2022. So as you can see from this report, only at present we are recycling 8% of the materials, even though they have this material has value. And at present, our material consumption has increased to 900 gigatons in 2023, and only among 100 gigatons, 9% is recovered. We are recovering again, even though 90% has value. So when we see the statistics, the usage of material increased 4 times since 1970, but population has only doubled. So you may be also knowing about the planetary boundaries, which are moving significantly towards non-recoverable phases. So these are one of the issues which needs to be considered. And coming to CO2 emissions, which are very specific to climate change, globally at present, near to 36 gigawatts are being produced every year annually, globally. This is 2021 figures, and India is third largest emitter again because of our utility of fossils, accounting near to 3 gigatons of CO2. So this is also a very critical thing. So the CO2 at a gigaton scale is accumulating into the environment because of using of fossils mostly and other practices which are not sustainable. So here I would like to speak a couple of minutes on Earth Overshoot Day. Many of you might be knowing about Earth Overshoot Day, which is given every year by overshootday.organization, which represent world biocapacity, which can regenerate by world ecological footprints into 365 days. So they started publishing since 1971, where one Earth is sufficient to regenerate back whatever anthropogenic activities we have done. So slowly, because of increment of our industrial activity and population, the Earth Overshoot Day is coming down, and it is reaching near to July here in 2022. Once during COVID time, a little bit of capacity increment was there because our anthropogenic activities significantly reduced. Only here you can see. So in particularly in 2020. So now it is about the 2022 figures. Still 23 figures has to come out, 18th July. So we required 1.75 years to regenerate back the activities what we have done based on the biocapacity of the Earth, existing Earth. So if we go in a similar way, without changing, we require near to 2.75 times of Earth to regenerate back whatever activities we are doing by 2050. Or if you are going towards sustainable aspects, considering sustainability, then somewhere between 2050, we can reach 1 Earth as per this graph. So we have to look towards this one to move from 1.75 Earth to 1 Earth to regenerate back, so that environmental aspects should be very much good for our future generation. Here again, one more thing I would like to mention. This was published in Nature in 2020 as per this paper. In 6th month, August month of 2022, first time in the human history or global Earth history, the anthropogenic materials has increased the biogenic mass present on there. Again, this is very much important on regeneration capacity. So for figure's sake, I would like to show the living biomass on the global earth is about 4 gigatons with respect to animals, but plastics is about 8 gigatons. So huge increment in plastic pollution or plastic accumulation is there, which is not sustainable. And similarly, when we look into trees and shrubs, it accounts for 900 gigatons. But when we look into the building and infrastructure materials, it is about 1,100 gigatons. So here we can clearly see how the biocapacity effect is reducing because of what anthropogenic activities. This is also one of the alarming things. So to sum up all these things, change is inevitable. We have to change. As per the resources, particularly we are going with extractive industrial model. So our global domestic material consumption, particularly in 2021, reached 100 billion tons per year, as against 40 billion tons in 2010. So this accounts again to 27 tons per person per year in high economic countries. So by 2050, it will be reaching near to 200 billion tons per year, a huge requirement of materials. So as you know, by 2050, population will be reaching near to 10 billions from present 7.8 billions, and there will be a great demand for resources. And here India accounts to 18% of global population. And also, if you continue to live like this and produce like today, by 2050, we will need 3 times more resources, stress on finite resources, and 50% more of fuel, 70% more of wood, feed and fiber, 50% more of water, and 70% of population lives in cities. So it's a very concentrated area where most of the population will be inhabiting by 2050. So there is concentrated packets of pollution generation as well as resource utility. So when we look into urban context, they contribute to 2% of the global area, but accounts for 80% of GDP. So the 70% of population by 2050 inhabits cities, and which will be consuming 75% of natural resources, apart from emitting 70% of global emissions as well as generating 50% of global waste. So this is very unsustainable again. So here we have to move to something sustainable. So as per the Sustainable Development Goal 12, responsible consumption and production is very important thing which we need to take up. So here I would like to again mention, we have a lot of challenges while moving towards sustainability. However, apart from challenges, we also have opportunities in decarbonizing or augmenting energy efficiency or waste handling by CCU, shifting from linear to sector economy, adapting nature-based solutions. All these again attributes to sustainability we are taking into account while designing any of the activity we are going to do in future. So here a couple of slides I would like to mention, as I have already discussed about linear economy. Ours is a fossil-based linear economy, which we can call it as cradle to grave or extractive industrial model. So we are taking material from Mother Earth, that's the cradle, and after utility, even though it has value, we are sending it to grave. So the functionality of material we are wasting. So this we are practicing near to last 200 years with a take, make, use, and dispose approach, which is the reason for many of the environmental damages which is happening. So a lot of all pollution, climate change can be attributed to a kind of linear economy. So we have to move towards something sustainable. And recently you might be knowing that natural-based climate solutions are being addressed in a significant way. So adapting natural-based climate solutions as per 6th assessment report, APR 6 IPCC released. So they attributed all the activities, all the climate change issues are because of anthropogenic activities. So to move towards something sustainable, we have to adopt circular economies, which is important. Apart from that, they also mentioned that we have to go with nature-based solutions to support the sustainability for future generations. So if we are adapting these kind of strategies, so we can reduce global carbon emissions significantly, as you can see from this graph, nature-based climate solutions. Or we go similar way, so global carbon emissions will increase. So we will get, we have all the negative consequences. So one of the natural-based solutions or one of the strategy which IPCC has suggested is circular economy. Moving from linear to circular economy is one of the sustainable strategy which needs to be practiced, and we can say this is a cradle to cradle model, not a cradle to grave model, and also a regenerative approach. So whatever material we are taking from Mother Earth, so that is a raw material which will be used in a process, and the output from this process as a waste should be designed in a way that will be a feedstock for another process. Likewise, we can improve the material efficiency by going with circular economy and reduce the emissions to environment. So this kind of circular approaches are being now talked much, particularly in the European Union, because they don't have much of resources. And there is one Ellen MacArthur Foundation, which propagating circular economy in a very big way, wherein they have given 3 of the principles. Design out waste and pollution, which is very important. So whatever material we are designing should be designed that it should not be a waste at the end of the life. It should be a feedstock for another process, a kind of industrial symbiosis model, and keep products and material in use. As much as possible, the material should be in circulation so that it will not go as a waste. And most important, again, attributing to nature-based climate solution, regenerative natural systems. So we have to adopt something related to natural-based solutions, which is again a regenerative approach. So one of the strategies moving towards circular bioeconomy, adapting biological routes that will have a good amount of sustainability, which I will discuss in subsequent slides. So this is a kind of regenerative approach. And we'll have all kind of sustainability, green economy, low carbon economy, circular economy, wherein if we adopt bio-based economy, we can go with a sustainable economy. So this will advocate low carbon economies and all kinds of sustainability, which we will discuss in subsequent slides. So here, when we talk about any kind of circular economy or linear economy, waste is an important component. So the basic principle of circular economy is to use waste as a resource so that material should not be come out of the system as a waste that will have long-term consequence of environmental services, basically. So in Indian context, everybody know that we have 4 kinds of different waste, starting from municipal solid waste, which is huge in quantity, and more than 50% is biogenic in nature, and very less is being recycled at present. So apart from that, we have huge amount of sewage, which is being generated every day, which also contains good amount of nutrients which can be recovered back. And one more thing which is not much dealt is about fecal sludge, which is high in concentration of nutrients as well as carbon source. However, this is not being considered much, but Melinda Gates Foundation, they are looking into Indian fecal sludge as a very big resources. Apart from that, we have good amount of industrial wastewater, which also contain good resources. The one thing which needs to be understand here is there is no debt of material like fossils, because every year there is increment of 10% of solid waste generation. So material is there. So we have to design how this material should be used as a feedstock for our material requirement. So material requirement. So here, when we have wastewater, basically wastewater needs to be treated before its disposal. That's a regulatory requirement. So they basically, I would prefer biological process, because biological process will not generate anything hazardous. So biological, there are 2 classifications, aerobic and anaerobic. Aerobic process, everybody know that it uses lot amount of oxygen, so that new cell will be formed and carbon will be converted to CO2 and H2O through TCA cycle. So it's an energy intensive process, even though it's very effective. But alternatively, we have anaerobic process, which is again an energy giving process, I would like to say, reducing process, functions under oxygen, in absence of oxygen. So everybody know that methanogenesis, the gobar gas plants, which is being extensively used in last 100 years to produce methane from animal waste or other kind of domestic wastewater. That methane is one of the important energy which is being considered at present. But however, we can also treat these process with simple treating. We can produce hydrogen as a terminal product, or by putting electrode assembly, by bacterial function, we can produce bioelectricity by using oxygen as terminal electron acceptor, or bacteria by anoxic conditions, we can convert waste carbon into polyhydroxyalkylate, a kind of biopolymer, or into solvents. So if you're not going with bacteria, microalgae, everybody know, with mixotrophic cultivation, it can take CO2 as well as waste carbon and convert it into biomass and some valuable chemicals. So by this way, we can treat wastewater. Apart from that, we can also produce some of the resources. So if you have solid waste, so solid waste, basically, I will be discussing about biodegradable solid waste. Biodegradable solid waste mostly go for landfill at present, little bit for composting, a little more for incineration, and also for digestion for biogas generation. But we have huge potential because it's highly biodegradable and has a lot of carbon nutrients, which can be converted into different kinds of chemicals. So that way we can reduce greenhouse gas emissions, also increase the resource recovery. So there is significant scope, I would like to say here. So again, I would like to show this slide with respect to CO2, which is one of the greenhouse gas, carbon capture, storage, and utilization. It's one of the potential area which is being looked at throughout the globe to increase the low carbon entity into different domains of products. So basically, there are chemical process which I am not going to discuss, but we are interested in biological process. As you know, algae and plants are known for capturing CO2 and converting into oxygen, apart from the food products or other products, which is very much required for human population or animal population in the earth. So apart from that, by using a specific kind of bacteria, we can also rapidly convert CO to some platform chemicals. So this is one domain which is coming up right now. So again, here a couple of slides I would like to show on urban ecosystems, which is a concentrated packets, which we have discussed earlier. So material is coming into the concentrated 2% of area, and that will be used, a little bit will be recycled. Mostly it will go as a waste in landfills. So this is not a sustainable. So we have to design something sustainable here also. So this is a concept which we are getting, urban biocycles, concept to close open loops. A lot of open loops are there in urban context, but they can become self-sustainable by a sustainable design or a smart design. So trying to, all these red lines are open loops, but green lines are the closed loop, which will generate resources or materials, which can be used again into the urban system. So these kind of concepts are going to come in order to make self-sustainable cities, which is very much important. So very much important. So to consolidate here, so I would like to show this slide wherein we can take any kind of waste, domestic waste or industrial wastewater, or solid waste or gaseous emission. We have bioprocess or hybrid process integrated with chemical routes. Conventionally, anaerobic digestion is a more mature process at present with TRL 8 level, which can produce methane. Apart from that, there are many processes which is being which studied at different scales, wherein microbial cultivation already at commercial level, so which can produce materials, which I have shown in the earlier slide, which have a lot of application potential apart from waste elimination. So by this way, we can go with environment sustainability and also address bioeconomy, which is again very much important for a resilient ecosystem. So to do all these, as I told, waste biorefining, we required bioprocess. So here we at IICT trying to look into some of the process, which I will go very briefly in another 5 minutes. So here, this is the slide I would like to show. This is an anaerobic process, which normally happen under oxygen-free conditions. Whatever carbon, suppose in the form of glucose, 6C if you take, we can treat the metabolic activity. Conventionally, if you are not doing anything, it will go to methane. We can regulate the metabolic activity towards any of the products, including hydrogen or polymer or lipid or lactic acid. So I would like to say anaerobic process is very versatile biofactory. We have to use it at the starting of the process so that it can give many multiple intermediates or building blocks to go with the sustainable process. So here we started with biohydrogen way back in 2005. Our scope is to use waste as a feedstock and try to produce hydrogen, which is green in nature. When we discuss about biohydrogen, there are two routes. One is thermochemical, where when we use biomass, then that hydrogen produced, we can call it as biohydrogen. Or through pure biological process, there are two types. One is anaerobic process, which is a dark fermentation process, which is a matured process at present. So apart from that, we have photobiological process, depending on photosynthesis, again classified into three processes: light fermentation, direct photolysis, indirect photolysis, which produce more hydrogen theoretically than compared to dark fermentation. But, however, because of oxygen generation, the yields are very low. So that's why dark fermentation is being pursued in a much significant way compared to photobiological. Apart from that, there are enzymatic processes or microbial electrolysis, which are still at laboratory scale. So we started working, as I told, on hydrogen in 2005. And then we got some leads. In 2016, we have established a pilot plant with 10 metric cube capacity. And then we have integrated biorefinery to use the resources which are coming from hydrogen process. This is the first of its kind of biorefinery in 2007. So just going to brief, when we have wastewater or waste which contain 1 kg of COD, which represent organic carbon, we can nearly produce 450 liters of hydrogen. This is the theoretical view. When we look into glucose terms, 1 mole of glucose, we can produce 4 moles of hydrogen apart from 2 moles of acetic acid. Or 1 mole of glucose can produce 2 moles of hydrogen or 1 mole of citric acid. It's a mixed fermentation. Basically, we have 4 steps where you can see like hydrolysis, esterogenesis, as well as methanogenesis. So the whole process, we have to stop the process at esterogenesis in order to make hydrogenous terminal end products. This is where success came for us with when we are using mixed culture. We are able to suppress methanogen activity here. So we started working different wastewater, able to get good amount of hydrogen with good amount of wastewater removal efficiency in terms of COD. However, we have developed a strategy, selective enrichment strategy of hydrogen producing bacteria by using some classic microbiology methods, wherein we took the shock treatment kind of thing, wherein the spore forming bacteria, which are hydrogen producers, will go into spores. But methanogenic bacteria are very sensitive. With shock loads, they will get killed. So this strategy we try to use and able to take the estrogenic bacteria into spores, and parallelly methanogenic bacteria get killed. And so again, after that, we regenerate and we activate the estrogenic bacteria. This strategy helped us, and we are able to produce incremental hydrogen compared to the mixed culture, which is having methanogenic bacteria. So you can see 17% fold increment when we compare with the control. And also the cyclic automatic curves were very significantly different when compared to the blank operation. So this is the diversity, the bacteria. When we look, firmicutes are the known hydrogen producers, which contributes to hydrogen production, which are in the acidogenic reactor. Even when we operated systems near to 1,400 days, we are able to sustain the culture, which is having dominant firmicutes. So these are different bioreactors, which we started and optimized at pilot scale. And based on that, with funding of Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, we are able to set up a pilot plant with 10 meter cube capacity. This is the P&I diagram, wherein different unit operations are there, along with the main hydrogen reactor, biofilm system. This is the photographs of different unit operation. Here we try to use municipal waste, wood waste, and produce 50,000 liters of hydrogen with 50% conversion efficiency, apart from fatty acids. So this this has given us some leads to go towards something technically economically feasible strategy. So then to increase the hydrogen, reduce the cost of hydrogen, we try to valorize. Once we produce hydrogen, the outlet of hydrogen will contain a lot of carbon that can be again reused. So we cannot throw it as a waste. So we are trying to reuse the carbon which is coming from hydrogen reactor by different integrated strategy, which is a kind of biorefinery. So we can use it for organic farming because of phosphate solubilizing capability, or with mixotrophic algal cultivation, we can produce biomass and biodiesel, or with a bacteria, SBR kind of system, we can produce plastic, or integrating with conventional aerobic process, we can produce methane, or with electrolysis additional hydrogen, or photofermentation or additional hydrogen, or MFC with electricity. So this kind of integration increase the resource efficiency going towards refinery. That is a circular kind of approach. So no need to waste any of the resource. So we'll be getting two products, either one energy or two energy, or one energy with other one kind of material. So this we are working significantly. And here I would like to show we are also focusing on HCNG, wherein you know that government gadget has come to use 18% of carbon in compressed natural gas, 18% of hydrogen in compressed natural gas as HCNG. So by integrating this strategy, we'll be able to produce HCNG itself without getting hydrogen from some other source. Likewise, we are looking into increasing the productivity, increasing the resource recovery, also reducing the cost of hydrogen production. So likewise, we are trying to focus, but I will not go into deep because of shortage of time. Two processes I would like to mention. When we look into the process of hydrogen, people asked us the safety issues and separation, because along with hydrogen, there will be CO2, which needs to be separated before using. So then we started looking into a kind of microbial fuel cell where same bacteria will be used, but will be separated by proton exchange membrane by putting electrodes, cathode and anode, and connecting to resistance. The bacteria will release proton and electron along with CO2, electron through anode process through the resistant and enter cathode, proton through proton exchange member, enter the cathode chamber. In presence of oxygen, it will convert it to H2O. Because of that, there will be electron mobility and resistance. Because of that, cell EMF will be formed, and that is nothing but energy in the form of bioelectricity. So 1 mole of glucose, we can produce 24 electrons and 24 protons. In wastewater terms, 1 kg of COD we are able to remove. We can produce 170 watts of energy. This is the different ways we have used and try to produce energy. This is comparatively very good when COD removal efficiency is considered compared to hydrogen. Different kinds of fuel cells. We started with HTEL, and then we came up to stack system, pilot scale, without any membrane, low cost systems, which we have patented. This is again a continuous mode microbial fuel cell developed for European Union project, which can produce 1 watt per meter square. So again, there are different things which are there, but I will not discuss now because of lack of time. So there are other applications here that I would like to mention, not only for power production. This MFC, I would like to call it just microbial electrochemical system, can do multiple things, like with domestic wastewater or any kind of wastewater, including CO2, it can produce power as MFC, or treat very efficiently wastewater with bioelectrochemical treatment with same principle, or recover CO2 and convert into chemicals, or remove salts. So it's a very versatile technology and very emerging technology, which needs to be significantly pursued. So, so there are multiple applications, but I will not go here. The last process is photosynthesis, which everybody know we are dependent on photosynthesis for all our activities, either to produce oxygen or food using bacteria, photosynthetic bacteria, or microalgal plants. So we try to use this as a mixotrophic cultivation terminal point. So how we are going to use, these are the raceway parts which we are doing. So I would like to explain waste biorefinery closed loop, which we have scaled up. So here we try to integrate all biological process, wherein we take wastewater or waste. If you are taking waste, we have to pre-treat it a little bit, and then it will enter into a microbial fuel cell setup, where it reduces the complexity of waste and produce electricity. And then outlet from this first unit operation will go to the main reactor, acetogenic reactor, where most of the carbon will be reduced and hydrogen will be produced. And the residual carbon will go for any of this process and produce third form of fuel or material. So a 3-stage integration, 3 forms of products, 90% of carbon recovery, and the residual will go for wetland systems. The water can be reused here if we are using waste for pre-treatment, or again for garden. So we are trying to close the loop, trying to recover as much as recovered. So this is the 10 meter cube biorefinery system, which we have integrated with hydrogen, closed view of different unit operations. So other data which we have generated, but based on this, we are now setting up a demonstrative plant for hydrogen, 150 kiloliters of clean hydrogen with 3 modules: biological module, separation module for a CO2 and H2, and separation module for fatty acids, so that closed loop approach can be done. This is being funded by DST. Likewise, there are many models, particularly when waste is considered, we can develop, but because of lack of time, I'm not explaining. But there are many models which one can take up and make the process sustainable. And at the end, I would like to show this slide. Whatever materials we have taking from fossils, we can produce by this kind of approach, by using waste as a feedstock. All materials can be produced. By this way, we can reduce utility of finite resources, apart from reducing environmental emissions because of using the waste resources to produce products. So that there is huge opportunity and also support many of the sustainable development goals, but it needs interdisciplinary research significantly. And I would like to thank my students for whose work I have presented here. And also I would like to acknowledge the funding from Department of Biotechnology, Science and Technology, as well as CSR, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, for supporting my research. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Any questions, please? Hello?
Yes, Dr. Mohan, I had one question.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, you have integrated so many biological processes into one complex. For this is in the pilot project, or is it working?
It's a pilot project, and that's what we are demonstrating right now at a full-scale demonstration plant. The one which I have shown with 50 meter cube capacity, 50,000 liter of hydrogen production, that's 10 meter cube capacity. It's a pilot plant. But now we are taking it up to next level, demonstration plant with the 30 meter cube capacity main reactor system that can produce 150,000 liters of hydrogen, apart from 40 kg of fatty acids and 20 kg of bioplastics. That is what DST has funded us. So in another 6 to 7 months, we'll be establishing that demonstration plan.
This will be in Hyderabad?
Hyderabad only. Hyderabad.
In your institute?
No, that biorefinery plant is in our institute, but this we are collaborating with one of the startup who will be establishing in their space, like so we don't have so much space, so they will be helping us to establish the plant and operation, as well as to get the wastewater, again waste stream, which is again a very important requirement. So we'll be there for 1 to 1.5 years to optimize the process. So then it will be their SME's own property, so take it up to next level. And technology will be from IICT. We can give to anyone the optimized technology.
Because your complex process involves so many biological methods, and also the specific organisms which can carry out these metabolic processes, whether it is converting into methane or then reducing carbon dioxide or converting acetone. So how do you maintain all these organisms required for your?
The main thing what we started is we used mixed culture. So we'll not go for a specific strain. If you are going with a specific strain, again economics will not work out, and it requires a lot of infrastructure to maintain. So our starting from 2005, we focus on mixed culture, which is available in nature. So we try to enrich or retweak that towards our requirements. So adaptation strategy we try to take. Very specifically, when we want to produce high-end product like succinic acid, then only we'll go with a single culture in a defined system. But whatever I have shown, all these open engineered systems wherein mixed culture is the main entity. So we try to adapt and regulate the activity of whatever culture we have towards hydrogen production or methane production or plastic production.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sir, can I ask one question, sir?
Please.
Are you able to hear me?
Yeah.
Sir, thank you very much for this nice lecture, sir. Very informative lecture given by you. Sir, when you were talking about the energy resources, you told 35% wind energy in India, 51% solar energy, huge amount of energy we are having. But my question is, sir, hydropower only 4%. 4%. Why
Yeah.
this is so, sir? Ji.
So compare that is I took from MNRE recent report. You can also look into the website. But hydropower plants, when we compared with these things, those are less. I feel like so those figures are very good. Like near to 50% solar, 30% wind power, and it is now 40% as it was there. 40% of energy is from renewable sources, as I can see from MNRE website. But hydro plants are less in number, so relatively they are less, I think. Because I'm not expert in that domain. I took those figures from Ministry of New and Renewable Energy.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to ask any question? Okay. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your knowledge and experience with us. Indeed, it has inspired us a lot. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity and a very good day you all. So
Thank
next,
you.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
It was a
Now I
wonderful, it was a wonderful session, I would say. No, I also learned a lot about this bioenergy and electricity generation. In fact, I was, I have started thinking to talk to you at some other time in detail that how the waste material of the food waste material of our university can be used for the electricity generation, bioelectricity generation and all. So we'll definitely be in touch with you, sir, for this.
Definitely, we're happy to assist.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you. Ocean ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Now I would like to request Dr. Anand Babu K, convener Praygyata 2023, HOD Civil Engineering Department, to give the vote of thanks. Sir.
Thank you, Ocean ma'am. I hope I am audible. A very good morning and very good afternoon to distinguished chief guests and guest speakers of the plenary, directors, deans, and participants. So I feel privileged to propose words of thanks on this special occasion of Praygyata 2023. First and foremost, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude towards our today's chief guest, Shantiswarup Bhatnagar, Dr. S. Venkat Mohan, Chief Scientist, CSIR Hyderabad, for accepting our invitation and gracing the occasion with his wonderful presence. Not only the presence, with the wonderful presentation. Thank you very much, sir. Sir, we are so grateful to you for sharing your immense knowledge with us. I would like to thank Dr. K. N. Guru Prasad, Dean, Science and Director, SVIS, Western Institute of Science, for his welcome and thought-provoking address. I thank Dr. Namit Gupta, Dean, Engineering and Architecture, Chairperson of the conference, Director of SVITS, and also for his continuous guidance and support. I would like to thank our guiding force and constant motivator and supporter, Dr. Upendra Dhar, Vice Chancellor of Sri Vaishnava Vidyapeeth Vishwavidyalaya, for giving this opportunity of conducting Praygyata 2023, a national conference to Civil Engineering Department this year. I would like to thank all eminent speakers of the plenary sessions, chairpersons and co-chairpersons of the plenary sessions, and technical sessions for their cooperation and support. I also would like to thank Dr. Santosh Dhar, Rector and Dean, FDSR, SVV, heads of the institutions, coordinators of the institutions, heads of the departments, Registrar Dr. Arvind Singh, and other officers of the university for their support and coordination. I would like to thank Professor Vaibhav Singh, co-convener of this conference, for his hard labor and untied efforts of all his entire last 4 or 5 months. And also my team members who worked very hardly for the success of this event. And I also Would like to thank faculty of Civil Engineering Department, Sri Vaishnav Institute of Technology and Science, for the efforts they have made for searching the eminent speakers, in contact with them and coordinating with me for many times, and tireless efforts they have made. I would like to thank them. And I would like to thank the technical team and the student volunteers for putting their efforts for success of this conference. Last but not the least, I thank all the participants also, without whom this event cannot be successful. Thank you all. Thank you once again. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to request all of you to kindly stand up for national anthem.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you everyone for your precious time. Now I hand over to Professor Rekha Shinde ma'am. Thank you everyone.
Thank you, Oshin. Thank you, Guru Prasad sir. Thank you, Arvind Singh ji, and thank you to all the other dignitaries present. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Shall I start, sir?
Yes, go ahead.
Good afternoon, all. It's a plenary session 1, Praygyata 2023, Innovative Infrastructure, Design, Practice, and Construction Technology for Sustainability. Very good afternoon to one and all. I, Rekha Shinde, Assistant Professor, Department of Civil Engineering, Sri Vaishnav Institute of Technology and Science. I feel privileged to welcome you all on behalf of Sri Vaishnav Vidyapit Vishwavidyalaya in Praygyata 2023, a national conference on sustainable infrastructure, challenges and opportunities. A very warm welcome to our session chair, Dr. K.N. Guru Prasad sir, Director, Sri Vaishnav Institute of Science, Sri Vaishnav Vidyapit Vishwavidyalaya, Indore. Sir has and second co-chair, Dr. Saurabh Jain sir, Professor, SVITS Law. A very warm welcome to our Dr. Guru Prasad sir. Sir has 35 years of teaching and research experience, has worked as head Department of Line Science, Devi Ahilya Vishwavidyalaya, Indore. He is principal investigator in 12 projects funded by UGC, CSIR, DST, BRNS, MPCST, ICIR, NFBRS. He has published 90 research papers in national and international journals. A very warm welcome to our session co-chair, Dr. Saurabh Jain sir, is a professor of computer applications, head of Center of Excellence in Data Science and coordinator Communication and Documentation at Sri Vaishnav Institute of Vishwavidyalaya, Indore. Currently, he is also coordinator of Sri Vaishnav Institute of Law. He has more than 17 years of teaching and research experience and has published more than 50 research papers 3 PhD have been awarded under his supervision. He has coordinated many national level competition activities under Shri Vaishnav Vidyapeeth Vishwavidyalaya, Indore. We are honored with the gracious presence of speakers, Dr. Kumar Pallav, Professor, Cape Peninsula, University of Technology, South Africa. Our second speaker, Dr. Naveen Kotra, Professor, Thapar University, Patiala, and Dr. V. Ralegaonkar, Professor, VNIT, Nagpur. With the presence of chair, I would like to read the profile of speakers. Now I feel privileged to introduce our first speakers, Dr. Kumar Pallav. Dr. Kumar Pallav received his PhD degree 2011 from Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati, India. He is presently working as an associate professor in the Department of Civil Engineering and Surveying at Cape Peninsula, University of Technology, Cape Town, South Africa. He has 16 years of academic and research experience in the area of structural engineering. He has supervised and examined doctoral and postgraduate dissertation. His research interest is in the area of heritage and old structures, structural dynamics, and earthquake hazards. He has published more than 35 papers and served as a receiver of reputed journals and committee member of international conference. May I now request you, sir, to address the gathering. Dr. Pallav, sir.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes. Let me share my screen and then let me know if it is visible to you. Just a moment. Just let me know if you see my screen.
Yes.
Thank you so much for this invitation. Dear patron Sri Purushottam Das ji, Dr. Dhar, Conference Chair Dr. Gupta, Convener Dr. Ananda, Co-Convener Professor Dubey, and Professor Weber. I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude for inviting me to be part of Praygyata 2023 National Conference on Sustainable Infrastructure, Challenges and Opportunity. It is an honor and privilege to share my knowledge and insights with the distinguished attendees at such a esteemed event. Thank you once again for giving me this wonderful opportunity. I would like to share my knowledge on my recent project, which is on characterization of heritage mortar for conservation and restoration work. So in this presentation, I will begin with an introduction to heritage mortar and its historical advancement in mortar and the problems associated with the heritage buildings. I will then discuss the cause of degradation in masonry and dive into a specific issue related to intrignite and thaumasite in masonries. I will also share a case study on characterization of heritage mortar, which is of Robben Island, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and Castle of Good Hope, which is one of the oldest monument and fort in South Africa. Finally, I will conclude with summary of the key points offered, my conclusion on the importance of characterization of heritage mortar, which helps us in prevention of masonry structure, which will be helpful for the future structures. So once we start discussing on heritage, well, we need to understand what are heritage structures. So if we talk about heritage structures, these are the buildings or site that holds significant historical, cultural, or architectural values and are considered important to preserve for the future generations. Further, they serve as a tangible link to the past and telling the story of the particular place and its people. So it could be like aesthetic culture, natural heritage, historical religion, military history, political history, or special events. Second question which we should ask, why the characterization of material needs to be done. So characterization of material is a crucial for heritage structures because it helps to understand the composition, condition and behavior of the material used in the original construction. So, and these information definitely will help for developing appropriate restoration and conservational strategies, and that will preserve the heritage structure, historical and cultural values. And by analyzing the material, we can determine the best method for cleaning, repairing, and protecting the structures while maintaining its authenticity. Additionally, I want to add this information can be used to develop a long-term maintenance plan that will ensure the structural continued preservation for future generation. And further, by analyzing original cementing material that can help to achieve compatible and long-term restoration of heritage building. And next question, how we can do that? Basically, designing heritage mortar is a quite meticulous process. We need to look for its aesthetic, physical, chemical, mineralogical, and mechanical properties of original mortar with consideration of realm recommendation, so that the design that involves analyzing sample of original mortar, and we determine its composition, characteristics, and then create a custom mix that closely matches those properties using material such as lime and sand. So the basic goal of creating these material is to be durable and safe mortar that provides sufficient support and protection while maintaining the authenticity and appearance of the heritage structure. So that is quite important and significant point in order to restoration and conservation work. So looking into the advancement of mortar, if we go back, the first use of structural mud mortar in rubble and adobe masonry is dated in 8000 BC in Mesopotamia, which you can see. I have just shown one picture of Babylon, Hilla, Iraq. Further, if you go forward into this history, the first example are dated during 6000 BC in Nilotic settlement of Sescola and Dimini. And if you come to further advanced period, the first use of lime structure mortar it still has not been testified yet, but mortar was sometime used as a binder and decorative purpose in Harappa buildings. They use, for example, colored with pigment to create intricate patterns and design on the surface of the wall. So here I have just shown you the Mohenjo-daro great part, which you can see very nicely still preserved. Further, if you advance in those eras, we can see the Roman period. You can see the big structure of Colosseums. And further in the medieval also, mortar with the lime added with the crushed brick. So we were quite advanced with the time and with the period in case of mortar. But the good thing about this mortar, they have a very nice property as compared to our PPC. They can breathe, they can take like absorb water nicely during the moist condition, and they can emit as well. So those properties definitely make these structures to survive so long. So if we see the problems with the heritage structures, so I'm just showing one Robben Island, which is one of the 10 UNESCO World Heritage Site in South Africa. And this justify the need for regular and proper maintenance of this site, and it represents South Africa and its history both locally and abroad. So why this site is so important? This site has a old trace of building pre-syncate dating back to 17th century, and it is internationally known especially for serving as an isolation prison for liberation leaders of and activities, including first democratically elected black president of South Africa, Nelson Mandela, right? So if you see, this is one of the cell at Robben Island, and you can see the mortar are peeling off from the structures. Even the moisture movement problems are also seen, as they try to repair with the PPC, and the PPC restricted the movement of the moisture through the structures, and it further deteriorated the condition of the structures. So water logging is also one of the major issues, as it is surrounded throughout along all around with the sea. And because of that excessive water logging, that is leading to the excessive mold growth in that structures. So I can show you why repairing with PPC becomes very problematic. So this was the work from Willick in 2008, and he mentioned that mortar, whichever used in the building construction before 1920, were softer and has less compressive strength than the block which holds, right? And this mortar expand and contract due to the change in the humidity and the temperature or to the settlement. So that this process helped reduce the stress in the masonry unit, which made them less likely to crack or spell. If mortar mixture that is harder than the masonry unit is used in repointing, which was sometimes the case in restoring using Portland cement over time, it is likely that the bond would break and crack would proliferate, allowing passage of moisture. This damage would resulted in accelerated spelling and losing. So that is what it has happened. So they try to repair it with the PPC, and the breathing action and humidity absorption has not been done. And what has happened, PPC are more stronger than the block which were used, and hence it creates more loss and more damage to the structures. So I'm just showing this Castle of Good Hope, which is situated in the main CBD of Cape Town city, and it is Bastion Fort of 17th century, and it is one of the National Heritage Site declared by the South African Heritage Resource Agency. So if you see figure 8, if you see, they have repaired with the modern mortar, and here if you see on the other side, this is old material wall. So what has happened after the repair work, this mortar which they try to use to restore it, they started coming or falling out of it, because these structures definitely used with the lime and sand mortar, and then they try to breathe during the rainy seasons and the moistures, whenever there is a moistures there, and even in dry season they try to uh, take them out from the air, take them out from the moisture from them. And once they repaired with the PPC, what has happened, this entire process of the structure has been stopped, and that causes immense damage. Instead of restoring them, it causes immense damage to them. So degradation is cause of degradation is a compatibility. That is what I have shown. Then masonry unit hardness issues. So that is what, if you haven't used your mortar, which is quite uh, similar or same in the strength as compared to your unit, it will again try to damage it. Then the chemical process, many premature deterioration of the structures may cause. And this altering natural process means, if you see the original mortar which were used can retain the trap moisture, jeopardizing its integrity uh, of the structures. Historic lime has a natural ability to heal fissures with itself by lime carbonation, where water in cracks carries the free lime solution to the surface, where it meets air and harden. So, and that is what, when we started using cement-based mortar in surface coating, water lost its ability to escape, and that leading the remaining state of saturation of its interior, where free lime never re-hardened. So this resulted in the far weak mortar holding the building together, and in some cases mortar can deteriorate it to the point of failure. And then moisture transfer problem, and that's leading to the unfavorable, they are not able to breathe, their moisture is not able to take out of the structures, and that creates a problem in these structures. I'm just showing this for your understanding that what are the major cause in the masonry, and why they are linked, how the expansion and swelling and loss of strength occurred. Basically, while they get connected with the moistures and air, this type of formation occurs, like intrigonite and thomsite in the masonries are the major cause which leads to the expansion of this. I'm just showing this to have understanding that why things deteriorate with time. So the formation of intrigonite is linked to the expansion, swelling, and loss of the strength in cohesion. And this was a very well explained in the work of Valeria et al. In 2003. So it shows that the presence of sulfate in the masonry, this may cause, and the presence of calcium aluminates in the repair mortar, and the presence of moisture in the masonry. Further, if we talk about thomsite, it is occur the following conditions, and in the presence of sulfate in the masonry. So once you start repairing, even those try to help in progression of the thomsite, and these thomsites are basically you can say favorable to generate your the previous one, eleganite. So what is that? It says that means the most favorable conditions in this is low temperature for the both the process and the cold climate. The formation of thomsite especially accelerate, and it causes does not cause significant expansion, but formation of mortar loss loses its resistance property and be transformed into disjointed mass. So it becomes a lump of mass which comes out of the structures. So this is one of the severe deterioration of the mortar stemming from the thomsite attack. So this you can observe while you are visiting the site, and if you are seeing such things, these are the major caused in these structures. So for the prevention, basically, the surface can be treated with the hydrophobic products such as saline to the hinder rainwater absorption, and metallic of polymetric sheets can be inserted into wall at a ground level to block the capillary rise of the water. So prevention techniques, there are several which can be used. I'm just giving you the insight in order to understand what other ways we can use to protect these heritage sites. So here I'm just going to show you our case study, and which we did it for the Castle of Good Hope and Robben Island, and in which the it answered the following questions: that what cementing material and type of binder, aggregate, and additives was originally used for the construction of the heritage building. Further, the characterization process assists with the design of replica material, which is our current project in collaboration with the government agency like South African Heritage Research Agencies. And even the Hukova et al. Into 2013 mentioned that it is important to characterize not only the building material, but also like historic building material, but also modern material period to restoration work. So it is like a sort of generation of the catalog for the each era's building, which help us to understand how to restore these buildings once we are 10 years ahead, and once something has happened to the building. So philosophy of authenticity, it is one of the most important word which we try to achieve while we are trying to restore this buildings. And it says that any intervention in the historic building should be guided by various principles. And the question why a monument is considered so important is usually related to its authenticity. So there are general feeling that the authenticity of the architectural heritage should be understood and preserved as much as possible. So the understanding of this authenticity is still much debated even after NARA documents. So 1994 they set on this and they discuss how the authenticity should be defined for the heritage part of this. So form, design, material and substance, use and function, tradition and technique, workmanship, location and settings, and spirit and feeling, and other internal and external factor should be accounted. So each of these aspects can be looked after according to the various traditional dimension, which apart from social, those are traditional Western ways of looking the values of architectural heritage: artistic, historic, social, and scientific. So in next slide, I would like to say what way we need to see the characterization chart. So if we talk about the aesthetic, this is quite important in terms of heritage structures. We need to match the compatibility as per of the material in terms of visual, color, texture, and surface finish. Physical, definitely indicator of the mortar engineering properties, and definitely it's related to the mechanical properties. So whatever material you are going to use for the restoration, their physical property will reflect its strength and stiffness. If we talk about the mineralogical characterization, definitely it helps us to understand how the surrounding environment behaves to the materials, and that is quite important to understand the mineralogical aspect of that property. So if you are close to the soil saline environment, and if you are in the different set of environment, you need to understand what sort of material you need to use for those purposes. Chemical composition definitely help us to understand what in what ratio we should apply what component or what elements are used in this material. So all these characterization has been performed except mechanical in the present work, but we also did the mechanical characterization recently, and we will include in our development phase of the work. So for the aesthetic property, this work has already been published in one of the peer-reviewed journal, that is South African Journal of Archaeological Studies. And if we go with the aesthetic properties, all our tests we classified into these six zones, and that is time taken for the test, the cost, availability of testing equipment within current research, the quantity of the material required for the test, technical data quality, ability of method. So definitely whenever you take up certain research, you need to look for your resources, and we try to develop whatever the methodology are using here for the people in the field, so that they can use economical way to classify or characterize this material. So for the aesthetic, we use color test and colorimeter, and this is what we haven't used, sorry, and now we have used recently with collaboration with University of Granada, and this time we also classified the color test, and we initially did cohesion, optical microscope, and visual investigation on this particular work. So these are the samples, and we try to classify all these samples with their ages, what are the sample types, and we describe them based on our visual or you can say aesthetic appearance. And we also see how cohesion is there, and we just try to describe what we have seen in our visual inspection. Further, for the physical properties, we only perform sieve analysis, but this time we also did a porosity based on the you can say in the development phase. We try to look other physical parameters for the material. So we did it for all those samples, and I will show you how we try to incorporate them in developing our primary material card. So we also carried out the mineralogical properties, as we want to see how this mortar behaves with the surroundings, and we use a very simplified test, which is nothing but your titration test, which you already learned at grade 11, 12. So that test is used to see what minerals are present in the samples, and with all these samples we see sulfide, which is +3 in SK1 sample, and nitrides, if you see, it's absence of this. So all these indicators are presented here in order to understand how much these minerals are present in the dust of the binders. Similarly, we also see in the aggregate of these minerals. And we also went for the chemical properties. We got B by A ratios for this, and we try to get the cementation and hydraulicity of this historic mortar, which is like, if we talk about this, as these are made of typical lime, sand, and water, sometimes includes additional materials such as crushed brick and potteries. So over the time, these mortar undergoes a process of cementations, where the lime reacts with the atmospheric carbon dioxide to form calcium carbonate. And this process gradually increases the hardness and durability of the mortar. And there is another important factor in the performance of historic mortar is hydraulicity, which refers to their ability to harden in presence of water. So some hydraulic mortar contain hydraulic components such as volcanic ash or bricks dust, which provide additional strength and resistance to water damage. So understanding of cementation and hydraulicity status of historic mortar is an essential in conservation and preservation. And it also influences the choice of material use as well as techniques, right? So if you see for SK1 to SK9, with the higher CI index, it is close to your Portland cement, and in those locations like SK7, they have used Portland cement for the restoration work. And even for the SK9 location, they have used this Portland cement. So we develop a PMC card, and we try to recommend for most of the site in South African context. We are doing that project for various heritage site, so that they have these PMC card with them in order to define its binder, aggregate, and additives, B by A ratios, and soluble salts, colors, and whatever notes you have to do. This is my student's work. She worked on a master dissertation, and now she is doing doctoral work in collaboration with the University of Granada. So she's now tried to develop this mortar for the two sites. This is the current work which we are doing right now. So we started design and development of this. So this is phase one. We try to more detailed investigation of the characteristic of the mortar. And then in phase 2A, we are making of those mortar, and we try to develop we in conjunction with the phase 1 studies, and we will look for the compatibility, durability, and its physical, chemical, and mineralogical aspect. In conclusion, I would like to state that the preservation of heritage structure is of great importance, and it is essential that they are conserved with the authenticity of the original material. Further, it is necessary to prepare a catalog for a material used in different eras to ensure that any rehabilitation is carried out with complete certainty of the implication of the element introduced. Further, it also required a multidisciplinary approach is necessary for each case, and as each case will be unique, so you need to research for the materials, and you need to include all people into consideration. Further, preparation of primary material card for all the important structure is quite crucial, and that will help engineers or consultant to take proper measures in planning of repair and maintenance work. So therefore, the preservation of heritage structures, we required a collaborative effort from various fields to ensure they are conserved in their original glory for future generation. Sorry, I think, yeah, this is acknowledgement to my funders like African World Heritage Fund, which provided a grant for this work. And even my university, they provided some consolidated research fund. And with the research exchange program, she visited University of Granada, and we thank Center for Scientific Instrument at that university, and also their research group RNM 179 of Junta de Andalusia, and research project BRNB 188 UGR 20 Spain. So thank you so much for your patience listening. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer it. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah. Any
Yes.
questions from anyone?
Yes, sir. Can I ask something?
Yeah, please.
Yes.
Professor
Yes,
Kumar.
Professor Dubey. Yes.
Sir, you are doing very good work. As the heritage structures, they need to be prevented and they are to be repaired.
So you are using the same material, whatever it was used in the ancient time. That means you are using mortar, because in this is the experience also, that if we are using the cement mortar, so it will not be bonded with the lime mortar. So you are using lime mortar, and rightly you have said that the lime mortar, with the passage of time, if we consider the durability, so CaOH twice, it is converted into CaCO3. So, and it
Correct.
is continuously getting stronger. So that is the result why the Taj Mahal, Qutub Minar, and all the Red Fort, they are still existing. But
Right.
due to the passage of time, due to this environmental pollution, they started deteriorating. So you are doing a nice work. So if you are
Thank you, Professor.
getting success in that, so it can be patented and can be applied to other heritage structures also, because they have to be prevented for
Yes,
the
thank you,
other
Professor.
generations also, so that they can
Correct.
see the beauty. Yes,
Yes,
thank you.
correct. Thank you very much, Professor Dubey.
Dr. Pallab, are you in Cape Town?
Yes.
Okay, because Cape Town has been recently in news for lack of water. How do you see that?
No, that is false news. That is very false news. It was there in 2018, but now we have sufficient, because that is the beauty here. We use only rainwater to preserve or conserve it into the dam. They are not even utilizing their groundwater. That is the best part which they are doing right now. So we only rely on the rainwater through the dams. The city has been supplied. So that is a very false news I got from my father-in-law as well. He's WhatsApp me that message. Thank you.
Yeah, it is getting circulated. So I was wondering what happens.
No, nothing. It's all fine. Good weather, lots of water. So no problem, Professor Guru Prasad.
Okay, so along with the heritage building, there must be heritage methods of preserving water.
Yes, there are still the South African standard is still lacking in that. So we develop a protocol for that work. That is what I have shown you right now. We publish that protocol in order to go for the standard way to repair or restore those. Not restoration. I'm not in that part right now. We are just doing the you can say the design and development of those mortars. So we were trying to closely associate with the mortar. You can't make it the same way, but at least you can achieve as close as possible to get the authenticity. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So there are no questions. Can we go to the next speaker?
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your great knowledge with us. Now, I feel privileged to introduce our speaker, Dr. Naveen Quatra. Dr. Naveen Quatra is presently working as a professor in the Department of Civil Engineering at Thapar Institute of Engineering and Technology, Patiala. He has completed his doctorate from the Indian Institute of Roorkee. His area of expertise is wind effect on RC buildings, finite element modeling, vibration monitoring on RC structure elements, and artificial intelligence. He has supervised 45 students of ME structures and 7 PhD students. He has published more than 32 SCI journals and more than 22 conference papers. He also completed many consultancies projects, including the design of RC structures, retrofitting, and rehabilitation of RC buildings. Presently, he is associated with the NHAI project from Kiratpur to Near Chowk, Himachal Pradesh. May I now request you, sir, to address the gathering.
Very good afternoon to one and all present over here.
and I'm thankful for the organizers for inviting me for this talk. How can I start sharing screen? Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
This one. Full screen. Can I all see my full screen?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. Today I'm going to present a very interesting topic for the health monitoring of the repaired structures, concrete beam particularly, using the acoustic emission technique. As we all know, the structure health monitoring is a very, very important phenomenon today as per today's context, because every structure that we build will get some damage in due course of time. And of course, we have to detect the damage, but not only to detect the damage, we have to do the retrofitting of the structure as well. So the structure health monitoring, it enables us to observe the changes in the structural responses of a civil engineering structure using the sensory system. And there are various sensory systems available nowadays, but our steps or our major aim is to determine the damaging existence, determination of damage geometric location, quantification of damage is again another parameter. And if we going to find out the damage, then it is always expected for us to answer the question that what is the remaining life of the structure. Because as a user of the or as a resident of the structure, everybody would like to know, is the building safe for me, and for how many years this building will remain safe for me. So we have to answer all these questions in the health monitoring part. It's a similar thing that we go to doctor, and then the doctor tell us that they do perform some test onto us, and then they find out that this some body parts are not, there's a defect in some body parts, and they give some medicines. Then this is all we call as retrofitting, and then we say that you are safe now for the remaining of your life. So if we talk about the techniques that are available for the health monitoring, there are visual inspections and non-destructive evaluations are there. And acoustic emission is particularly one of the non-destructive evaluation. And there are other non-destruction techniques also, like for that we have the electrochemical, optical fiber sensors, ultrasonic guided waves. They all give us a lot of information regarding the health of the structure, but this talk is totally focused on the acoustic emissions. So let us see what is acoustic emission. The acoustic emission is basically, the word acoustic is derived from the Greek word, and it is basically, which means that we can hear. So basically, whatsoever the cracks that are, or the deterioration that are going to damage, that is in the form of, you can say in the form of acoustic waves or sound waves, you can say. Then we try to catch up these sound waves and try to give the status of the health of the structure based upon the content of these acoustic waves. So the acoustic emission vary with the rate of structural deformation and can easily be detected by mounting the sensors on the surface of a structure. And ADXT can efficiently prevent some catastrophic failure in the structure with the hidden or unknown discontinuities. So particularly this point is very, very important, that when the crack is appeared on the surface, it is visible to everyone, and anyone can say that this is a damage that has occurred in the structure. But the cracks which are within the structure itself, which have not come up to the surface, that can also be detected by this technique. So the principle of the acoustic emission technique basically involves that whenever there is a crack, like you can see here, there is a crack, there is a sound that has been generated, and this sound has been or the energy has been of this this damage is basically read by this sensor, and then it has gone to the acquisition system, which we then process the data based upon that. So when a structure is exposed to an external stimulation of change in stress, load, pressure, or temperature, then this need to localize damage source, trigger the intense release of energy in the form of
high frequency sound waves, and these waves propagate through the material and produce deformations. And waves are recorded by the sensor mounted on the surface, and these mechanical acoustic emissions are then converted into electrical acoustic signal, which are further converted into electronic data for the AE analysis. So you can see in this figure also that the source from this source of damage where the waves have been generated, and this has been captured by the sensor, and then the further processing has been done. Another view of the same thing, basically how the acoustic emission waves are generated, and then it has come to the sensor, and then the data has been processed. So the acoustic emission testing is a non-destructive technique that detects and monitors the release of ultrasonic stress waves from a localized source when a material deforms under stress. So how does it work? Basically, the acoustic emission testing works by mounting small sensors onto a component under test. The sensor converts the stress wave into electrical signal, which are received by the data system. These waves are generated due to an external stimulus such as high pressure, loads, or temperature. As the damage grows, there is a greater release of energy, and the rate in which these acoustic emission is detected and the intensity of the acoustic emission energy parameters are monitored and used for the assessing the structure integrity and for the health monitoring of the components. So this is the way we basically perform the acoustic emission technique work, and it's basically some sort of continuous monitoring system. It is not like an intermittent system that you go to a structure and put some sensor, get some data, and then you process. It is not like that. It is that in the acoustic emission technique, you permanently put the sensor on the structure, and you keep on recording the data as and when the distresses are generated in the structure, and then we process the data in the form that we have got from the sensors, AE sensors particularly, and then based upon the data we have obtained from the sensor, we try to simulate what kind of damage that has been occurred in the structure. So if this is another form of entity, but it is something different than entity also. The first difference pertains to the origin of the signal. Instead of supplying energy to the object under examination, AET simply listen the energy released by the object. See, in the other entity signal, what we do, like in rebound hammer test or ultrasonic waves, we give some energy to the structure. Like an ultrasonic test, we send ultrasonic waves to the structure, and then we try to get the information from the structure. But here, we don't give any energy to the structure, but we listen what has energy that has been outcome from the damage that has occurred in the structure. And the second difference is that AET deals with the dynamic process or change in the material. This is particularly meaningful because only active features or crack growths are highlighted. Further, AE testing usually provide an immediate indication relating to the strength or risk of failure of a component. Now, these are certain advantages and limitations of the acoustic emission particularly. So the advantages are the ability to detect fiber breakage, friction, impact, cracking, delamination, and corrosion in their early stage. So this is one of the feature of this acoustic emission, that we can able to find out the damage that has occurred in the structure because of these factors like delamination, the corrosion, all the things that we can get the damage detection. Then it can also locate the damage source and can be differentiated by type of damages also. And the major limitation is that it cannot detect defect that may be present, but they do not move or grow. So if there is a damage is there, and which is not active damage, that is not growing, so we'll not get any waves coming out from that signal, from that structure. So this is a limitation that we cannot detect the defect which is basically inactive in nature. So this can be applied to the various areas, like for structures, machines, and for the processes also, like for concrete structures such as bridges and buildings. This can be used for the metallic structures such as pressure vessels, composite structure like aircraft structures, motorsport structures, and it's very good for the machines, like for rotating machine, the electric machineries. Now let's come to the parameters that we are going to use. So this is a typical A signal that we used to get from any kind of the signal that we get from the damage. So basically, we have to define certain terms as far as the analysis part is concerned, based upon the acoustic emission technique. So first thing is the event. So anything that is any trigger that has occurred is called as event, and hit is basically the event is referred as hit also particularly. So you can see here there's a plot between the amplitude as well as the duration. So here we say what is the arrival time. So we first fix a threshold. So we call, you can see this is a threshold line, which we say that beyond this threshold, we will try to consider the energy or the amplitude which has crossed this threshold. So that will be counted as a hit. So this is, you can see the lower threshold and the upper threshold we have defined here in this. Then the rise time is basically defined as the maximum time. Rise time is the basically maximum time through which the maximum peak is basically occurred. And so A event can be defined as an event occurs as a corresponding to crack propagation due to formation of a defect. I have already described these terms, so I'll move further. So the majority of the signal processing is basically governed by in the acoustic emission is the attenuation, the background noise, the frequency filters. The most important thing is the frequency filter. The frequency filter are used to eliminate the noise, because whenever we are getting continuous signal, then it is also possible that we get some noise also. So we have to filter that noise. So for that, we normally we use the signal, a frequency filter of the range of 20 to 100 Hz is used for the composite such as RCC structure for the filtering the noise. Again, the same we have. So basically, as far as the monitoring is concerned in the acoustic emission, the most important point is the Kaiser effect that has been governed by that. The Kaiser effect says that if in any process the damage is occurring, let's say from A, the emission is occurring, so it has gone to C, gone to B, and then again unloaded it, then it come to the C, and then from C we again start loading the cycle or again loading the structure, then it will go to a D, and then unloading it go to the E, and again goes on F. So this is a process by which normally a cyclic loading is being applied. So if we talk about any wind loading, earthquake loading, all this loading which are cyclic in nature particularly, so for that point of view, this Kaiser effect is very, very important, and it says that the little or no acoustic emission will be recorded before the previous maximum stress level is received. So if only the signal will be received if the damage is more than the previous activity, or you can say hit will be recorded only when the present hit is having the energy more than the previous one. So this is the Kaiser effect that is very, very important for the analysis or the processing of the data. And then we defined upon the very important parameter, that is the felicity ratio for the monitoring point of view. So a felicity ratio is basically defined as the level of damage as a ratio of load at the onset of AE activity to the previous maximum load value. So based upon that, we can say that if felicity ratio is less than 1, then it indicates that a damage, and if it is greater than 1, it indicates no damage. And similarly, the most important parameter for the evaluation is in the acoustic emission is the IB value analysis. And IB value analysis is again based upon this expression for which has been given in this value. And if the IB value is less than 1, it indicates a major damage. And if IB value is 1 to 2, it indicates a moderate damage. and for IB value greater than 2, it's indicate minor or no damage. So in this, I'm now going to present you the monitoring of plain and RCC beam and steel fiber reinforced beams, for which the monitoring has been done with the acoustic emission technique. So for that, we perform an experimental program in our labs, and particularly for the monitoring of for monitoring damage in controlled and repaired reinforced concrete beams and steel fiber concrete beams. So we have used the two type of beams, particularly reinforced concrete beams and steel fiber reinforced beams. And so in the second phase, we did the corrosion monitoring of these beams also with the acoustic emission technique. So for that, we created beams of the cross section 127 to 227 mm and 4100 mm. It means almost 4 meter long beams. Then we use three mixed grades also, like M20, M30, and M40, and flexure test in both RC and SFRC up to 90% along with age monitoring has been done. And then once the beam has damaged to 90% level, they have been repaired with the GFRP wraps. And then we again repeated the flexure testing along with the acoustic emission technique. So basically what we did, that we gave damage to the beam, and as the beam is damaging, we at the same time we monitored the acoustic emission signal variations also, and then we try to give that based upon the damage that has been developed, what are the AE parameters, or how the AE parameters are varying. And as to monitor the AE parameters, we have taken the AE hits and AE energy, acoustic emission hits and acoustic emission energy has been noted down. And based upon this analysis, we try to give an equation by which, if you want to monitor a beam in real time, then you simply put a sensor over there and keep on recording the AE hits and the AE energy. And from the AE hits and AE energy, you can find out the damage that has occurred in the structure. So this is the L section and cross section of the beam. So I'll move further. And this is the way the beams have been tested. Particularly, you can see here, these are the location where AE sensors has been placed. This is the way the beam has been loaded with the 4-point loading. So this is the beam has been loaded with the, basically we have done a load control test. We applied the load up to 5 kN and then keep it 0 and then keep on increasing the load till there is a failure in the beam particularly. So increment of 5 kN is given at each loading cycle. And then we basically perform the retrofitting also of these beams with the GFRP wrap once the beam has been damaged. So I'll be discussing the results after showing you this process of the experimentation. Then the retrofitting has been done with the GFRP wraps, and we have used that E-glass fibers and with the thickness of 0.324 mm with a tensile strength 34 Newton per mm square. And you can see here, this is again the sensor locations for the AE sensors. S1 we have used six sensors we have used. So 3 sensors on the front face and 3 sensors on the back face has been used. So now we come to damage monitoring particularly. So this is the way the loading has been applied, and this is the way the beam has responded. As you can see here, as we keep on increasing the load, the deformation is keep on increasing. And after each unloading, it tries to come, but there is a permanent deformation of 15 mm in the beam after the end of the last cycle. Some photographs of the testing, you can see here how the load has been applied and how the beams have been failed after the with the various loading cycles. Now you can see here, this is a very good plot for the hits, acoustic energy hits we have obtained. You can see here on the left of the y-axis we have the cumulative hits time, as well as on the right axis you can say there is a load. So you can see that this is the blue line. Blue line shows the loading cycle, and you can see here as we are keep on increasing the load, the hits are continuously increasing. And these hits basically indicate that damage is being developed in the beam as we keep on increasing the load. So you can see here the number of AE hits increases consistently during the loading phase with the increase in the load indicating the progression of the damage. On the other hand, there is no significant rise in the cumulative AE hits during unloading. So you can see here the horizontal line in the green plot, you can see the horizontal line, it represents the unloading. So it basically refers the Kessler effect also, because the hits will be only there when the energy is more than the previous activity that we have recorded earlier. So you can see this is a plot of the, basically now I'm showing the plot between for the cumulative hits for the RCB and R repaired one. So as I told you, the beam has been repaired also. So this is for M20 and M30. You can see here, the green line shows is the control beam, whereas for the repaired beam, the hits have reduced significantly. So because the beam has already met with the damage, so no more acoustic energy is about, acoustic hits are about to release because of the damage over there. So that is why you can see here the AE hits are less as compared to the AE hits that we have obtained from the control film. The similar behavior has been obtained in the another mixed grade beams also. Now this is the variation of the AE energy. You can see here in the left, in the y-axis, left y-axis, we have put the cumulative AE energy, whereas again the blue is the load cycle, and the right side we have shown the load with the time. So you can see here how the cumulative AE energy is basically changing with the increase in the time. You can see here for each loading cycle, the energy is increasing. Then horizontal plot basically represent the unloading stage. So in the non-linear zone, particularly when the damage is more, you can see that there's straightforward increase in the cumulative energy as well. You can see here also there's an increase in the A energy as we keep on increasing the load.
Excuse me, Dr. Naveen, we are running out of time.
Yeah, I'm just with this. I'll coming to the conclusion of this part.
Yeah, ask you to please conclude in a minute.
Yeah, sure. So you can see based upon this, we try to evaluate the damage index also. So damage index is basically evaluated, and you can see here the minor damage, moderate damage, and the major damage has been plotted like P by P max, then AE energy. So it's a plot between the AE energy and the max. It simply shows that how the damage index can be evaluated, and for a beam particularly. Again, for the other cases also, this has been evaluated, and particularly the damage index, we can say that when the DI is 0.5, there is a linear increase in acoustic energy, and 0.5 to 0.8, there is the damage, which can say there is a moderate damage, and beyond 0.8, say we can say there is exponential increase in energy. So the damage index basically it gives the clear picture of the damage that has occurred in the beam and how the energy is basically changing. So this is again a damage index calculation, and the damage index, how the damage index is changing from point undamaged to the damaged state. You can see here various description has been made based upon that. So we try to develop an equation which can be used, that we use the genetic programming model to evaluate the damage index. And this is basically the equation which is used for a general user particularly, that is damage index is basically governed by the A energy, and F is the compressive strength of the concrete. So if you have put the sensor on the beam particularly, and you have got some energy content from that, then you can use this expression for evaluating the damage index. So these expressions are very, very useful for evaluating the damage index. And this is the way it has been plotted. So there's again one exercise we did for the corrosion. So I will not conclude because we are running out of time. So I'll just come to the conclusion part particularly, and I'll say that this is a very good exercise which we can use for the damage monitoring, and AE technique is very, very effective for monitoring of the continuous monitoring of the structure. Though it's a little bit expensive, but it's very, very useful for the continuous monitoring. Thank you for the time slot given to me. I am sorry that I could not I want to cover more, but because time constraint, I could not cover a lot of things. So that's all from my side.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Naveen. Are there any questions? We can just have a couple of them quickly.
Naveen sir, namaskar.
Namaskar, sir.
Dr. Dubey, make it short question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This AE technique, about AE technique, I'm asking the question. Sir, where you have to check, because in the whole structure, if the cracks are there and they are not visible, so how you come to know that we apply the sensor at that particular point? And
No. So
secondly,
basically
we
we
excite, sir.
Okay, basically it's not question of excitation of the structure. Basically, we have to put the sensor, and during the whenever the damage is being developed in the structure, it will trigger the acoustic energy. We have to capture that acoustic energy particularly, because whenever there is a crack, there is a sound associated with that. So we have to catch that associated sound, and based upon the energy of the crack or the sound which you are getting, we try to correlate with the damage that has developed in the structure. So it is not external energy is given. So energy that has been created due to damage has been captured over here. So you have to continuously monitor the structure. So this is for the continuous monitoring of the structure, not for the intermittent monitoring of the structure.
So do you put these sensors superficially?
Yes, it should be superficially, or it can be inbuilt in the structure as well.
Okay, it can be inbuilt in the.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Dubey. Can we go to the next speaker, Dr. Rekha Shinde?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir, for sharing your great knowledge with us. Now I feel privileged to introduce our speaker, Dr. Rahul V. Ralegaonkar. Dr. Rahul V. Ralegaonkar, sir, has completed B. Civil Engineering 1998, ME Civil 2000, and PhD Energy Efficient Building 2005. He worked for a year in industry at managerial post in the GIS industry and civil construction industry for the rest years. He has been associated with academics, including research testing, consultancies of civil engineering materials, projects, etc. He is presently working as a professor in the Department of Civil Engineering at Vishweshwaraya National Institute of Technology, Nagpur. He was awarded one of the most prestigious Indo-US Bhavan Fellowship by DST New Delhi to work at the University of Texas, US in 2016. He has 3 international and 3 national awards to his credit for novel product designs which are used as energy efficient construction materials. Till date, over 140 publications we brought out at international and national level. He contributed a couple of chapters in international handbooks published by Elsevier and IGI Global Publishers. May I now request you, sir, to address the gathering.
Thank you, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Perfect. Perfect. Just let me share my screen. Are my slides visible?
Yes, sir.
I'll just take, yeah, perfect. I'll just take a quick round. So is it available on the full screen?
No, it's not available. Please put it in the.
Yeah. Is this one now?
Yeah.
Are they moving?
Yes.
Are they moving? Yeah, perfect. Perfect. A very good afternoon to one and all. At the outset, I would like to thank the organizers, Sri Vaishno Vidyapit Vishwavidyalaya, for extending this opportunity, and I am really glad to see that this is one of the national events which is focusing on sustainable infrastructure, challenges and opportunities. As we have been working in the core domain of sustainable construction materials, I thought this will be an app platform where I can share some of our thoughts, and I'll be really glad if I can get some kind of inputs from any of the listeners on the other side, so that we can improvise for some of the products which we are designing for the national mission projects related with the housing as well as Unnat Bharat Abhiyan projects. So with this brief background, let me start my presentation. I'll be focusing more on sustainable construction approach for social transformation, as we are all technocrats and we are all providing solutions to the end users. We need to see that for socially deprived communities, if we can do something better during our tenure as a professional, it will be great help to the nation. So that is what the humble belief kind of mindset what the national mission projects are focusing on under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Ji Modi. Hopefully, these are all everyone knows what are all SDG goals, but primarily when we start focusing on sustainable development goals, although there are 17 enlisted SDGs, we primarily focus on SDG 9, SDG 11, and SDG 12, which focuses on industry, innovation and infrastructure, sustainable city and communities, and responsible consumption and product may focus on when we primarily work for of novel products pertaining to the solid materials I'm talking about related with construction industry. So I have already given you an idea, and then why government is looking forward for these SDGs. And again, the question remains, which are all the challenges and what are all the opportunities we as a civil engineer need to provide the service to the nation. So primarily, as I said, under PM Awas Yojana, there are a lot of technologies, but one of the technologies which we are focusing on is the incubation support what we have got from Ministry of Housing, wherein prefabrication is pitched to the ministry, and right now it is being promoted to some part of our nation. Later, under Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, as we all have been knowing that we need to focus more on cost-effective technologies, rapidly building kind of technology which can focus something for making of toilet units. Even for the urban sectors, we are focusing on the security guard rooms. So these are all various cases, and primarily we have been knowing that when we talk about concrete, so necessarily concrete has lot of kind of quality checks in the industry, and especially when we talk about RMC. However, for walling elements, it has been now traditional things have changed. Earlier, where we used to go for the load-bearing structures, now it has been shifted to non-load-bearing structures, where primarily only your structural elements will make the impact on the structural designs, and then only the filler material is the wall. However, we need to change the mindset, and then again we need to go for frugal engineering. That is the primary focus. If we do some analysis, hopefully the aspect of sustainability can be pitched in for those kind of again the construction techniques. When we move around in and around the local region, as in India, we have a lot of waste that has been generated, and a lot of researchers, they are working a huge amount of work where we primarily focus on utilization of these waste. But again, my primary concern is, can we really transform the industries who are manufacturing the products using conventional aids? And hopefully we all know that fly ash based products are much popular now, but over and above fly ash based products, the area what we have been focusing over a decade is utilization of agro-industrial waste or the ashes. And these are all some of the names what I have put here, and their generation, which goes somewhere in millions of tons of waste over and above the we can say C&D waste, which is again a primary concern for all the innovators and the manufacturers. So what is being made as of now when we interact with the industries, because we are providing solutions to the industries at a local level, we got to know that most of these products, wherein you talk about MSME and small scale industries, they are generating the huge amount of waste and they are following the malpractices. That is, they are dumping the waste in some part of your city or outskirts of the city, which is again a solid waste management challenge in front of civil engineers. So when it comes to the product design, primarily we need to hit the three targets. That is, the economically my product should be compatible with the commercially available products. Again, when we try to design a product, we need to check that what are all its ecological footprints, and ultimately the last aspect that what we are trying to need to focus, that should this or can society be using these kind of novel products. So when we try to club all three phenomena, that is ecology, economy, and societal acceptance, probably we call it as a sustainable goal, where we can pitch in or we can bring in to the social transforms for with the help of novel products, what we try to pitch in to the society. Over and above, there are other aspects, but due to the time constraint, I'll try to restrict myself to the primary concept, and maybe at the end we can have 4 to 5 minutes discussion if it is apt. Now, when we try to talk about sustainable technologies, we just design one kind of framework wherein most of the researchers, they try to find the alternates. So either alternates to the binders or the alternates to the aggregates. And when we try to talk something about solid waste management, so you will have the bifurcation in terms of industrial and agricultural waste. Most of these waste, they will be in some kind of particle forms, wherein you try to use it as a fine aggregate substitute or a coarse aggregate substitute. And when these aggregates are, this is one part, and you have a number of binders, as we have been like you are listening now the third talk, where earlier I just heard something about somebody is pitching up for lime-based mortars. Cement is very conventionally used, where you have OPC and PPC. Now the era has come where you try to go for cementless construction. So this is one of the areas where we are pitching in, and now most of the researchers, they are aware that alkali activation has become again a key area where people have started doing a lot of research and generating a lot of resource for the nation, where we are trying to give some solution in terms of cement free, that is eco-friendly product as a binder for the construction industries. So there are set methodologies that how do you categorize or how do you check the feasibility of raw materials. Once the raw materials are put in for some mixed design for a specific grade of any particular product, then you have a lot of codal provisions which needs to be complied based on physical, mechanical, and structural as well as functional performance of those products. So this is one kind of small industry what we have. This is one of the plants what we have. We have various molds which is there in our campus. We encourage the students from other institutes, including the scholars, to we invite them oftenly. They come down to the VNIT, and then they can use this facility, which is purely only for R&D purposes. So it's a manufacturing unit where you can have a number of products. So it is fully automated plant what we have, and we try to primarily focus the various waste which are available in and around our city. So as the definition of sustainability is something what it teaches us, that you have to have the buffer zone of around 50 kilometers in and around the region where you are working. So primarily the sustainability goes saying that think globally but act locally. So we try to give the solutions to the various small scale and medium scale industries who are not purely using the coal, but there are alternate fuels which are being pitched in their industries for meeting their boiler requirement, and the secondary sources which are all coming out of those waste. We try to go check whether that particular product is feasible or not based on its microscopic analysis. I'm not going to read too much into that, but here the more important is we need to understand a concept. And if you are already ready with some products, I'll be more than happy that we can take those calls separately, and then we can improvise on those products and we can recommend it to the ministry, which can go further for the urban housing or the slum rehabilitation projects. So some of the key elements. When we have started discussing with the ministry, they said that yes, product should be sustainable. Along with that, we should have multiple properties, because nowadays we know that there are a lot of calamities. So can we think for products which are light in weight? Again, the products where we say the economy, so the products which are affordable. The next important part, that we cannot restrict ourselves only for a particular size of a more, like you can say, a product. So it can be a brick, it can be a block, it can be a prefabricated, it can be of any particular design shape based on the architectural requirements. So we call it as a modular design. Then obviously any product, even though I'm using alternate source, it has to comply with the standards. And the most important part, wherein we are like we as a civil engineers, which is rarely pitched in our particular course curriculum, wherein we try to teach the students as well as the technocrats who are working with us, that can we design the products who has lesser environmental impact, which has low embodied energy. I mean to say the products while manufacturing who require lesser energy. So just to give you an example, if we say a clay brick needs kiln. So there you need to have some kind of source where heating is required. However, when you compare a fly ash brick, wherein you don't require any kind of heating, so your energy balance equation has to be checked when you try to design the product. And there could be few more properties which can be added, but only few properties which I feel from the aspect of sustainability, those needs to be pitched in, they are highlighted here. So just to give you a brief that what kind of I won't say wonders, but what my scholars have done with us, and we try to give some kind of demonstrations for these products in and around our city. They are like bricks, blocks, and mortars, all made from the waste: recycled paper mill waste, sugarcane bagasse ash, CND waste, biobriquette ashes, and then you have GBFS, rice husk ash, and so on. So forth. There are so many waste which we have identified in and around the city. Hopefully the similar exercise can be done, or if very similar has been done in and around Indore city, probably we can take up further. There are a lot of good things which we can learn from Indore, because Indore has been one of the cleanest cities almost past so many years that we have been here listening in the newspapers. So you have paver blocks, we have made wall panels, you have alkali activated concrete, which primarily focuses on the paver blocks as well as prefab walling elements. Then for improving the pozzolonicity of the cement, for that also we have gone further for nanoscaling of the products. So at a nanoscale, how it works with the cement. And now we are coming up with the end products, because we thought that let's move to the technology readiness level 7 and 8. So TRL has been proposed, or was proposed by way back in US. Later, as I have been also working in UK, so primarily there TRL is very much pitched. And in our industry, where we try to design the products in our lab, but unless and until we demonstrate to the society, that particular goal, somewhere that link misses. So we need to get in touch with the industries, and we need to propose that whatever key findings we have got in research from the sustainability perspective, they go further in the industry or on field applications, probably that's going to make an impact. And some of the proportions, what we have identified, that to what extent we can replace the conventional product, that has also been indicated on the right hand side of the table. So moving further, some of the aspects I would like to catch up your attention on the bottom side of the table, wherein you can see the compliance criteria for the strength for most of the products, which are masonry units. They are light in weight, as I said earlier. They are having lesser thermal conductivity, or I can call having higher thermal resistivity, wherein at the bottom I have shown in the gray color that you have brick, this one clay brick and the fly ash brick, wherein thermal conductivity values ranging from 1 to 1.3. However, for most of the other products, values are almost half of it, which gives an impact for the environmental issues. Next, we go for the costing aspect. So commercially, the products which are available over here, when we go for manufacturing the these particular products, again, the cost goes down because the commercially available products you are substituting with the waste material, or I can say rather than waste, it is a byproduct. So a small step that can we demonstrate these technologies. So we have used small scale modeling technique initially. We started with making these products open to the society. We kept them in the open air just to check its performance, how it performs, wherein we get a lot of inputs from the experts and at a national as well as international level. And now we are coming up to the decentralized approach. We are proposing that can we have, because these kind of housing we are seeing in and around our city, not a multi-story, too many big units, but having the products which are generating energy at their own roof. What I've said is like an attempt that can we collaborate. So we have been doing a lot of workshops with the industry experts, and then some of the industries who come forward to take up these kind of societal issues or the challenges. We have given them the technology. So we have made the blocks initially, which are made from bio-based ashes. Again, we have given the solution in the Gadchiroli district, which is a Naxalite region. And as I said, so sustainability has to be pitched at a societal level. We have convinced Ministry of Environment and Forest, wherein they got the almost 10 Naxalites who gunned down their particular regular illegal business. They came into this particular regular livelihood where their families are being supported by manufacturing these bricks and blocks at their own units. So this is one of the regions of Gadchiroli where we call it as Vadsa. Further in Nagpur, we have one of the slums. So in the slums, with the help of Ministry of your BMTPC and Ministry of Housing, what we have done is we have adopted 1 or 2 sample places, and we have demonstrated these products in the society where G+1 structure is constructed, indicating that this particular product, wherein we have put the sensors, you have like regular temperature, what we are monitoring or what we have monitored in fact for a year span, and which was compared with the fly ash based product, that it has reduced the 34% dead load as it is light in weight, and it has saved the cost, as well as the temperature was also controlled to a level of 6%. We do a lot of experimental computation. So these facilities are available, and we are open during the summer internships. We call a lot of people to interact, and yeah, even if you have any particular links in Nagpur, you are most welcome. Anytime you can visit VNIT, and we can demonstrate these kind of products what we already have. Now we have moved into BIM technology, where you do lot of kind of analysis related with peak load cooling, wherein with the change in the build forms. So only at the planning level itself, if we do lot of challenges with the product utilization or the product specification, wherein you have a lot of libraries, you can see the peak cooling demand load itself we can reduce to a 20% by right selection of the products. So that is how it goes from 3D to 7th dimension of the product. This is one of the key areas where we are working. We were one of the winners for the PM Asha project, wherein we have bid for this, and then we have now got the incubation support, where we are working under the umbrella of CBR and NIS Jorat, where again the primary focus is move out of conventional technologies and let us take up the challenge of prefabrication industry. So the prefab product, what we could make is conventional with the rather than going for a conventional concrete, that we could reduce the density to a half. The strength was achieved as far as masonry requirements are concerned, and then complying all other requirements as per the defined standards. We moved further to the industries with these particular type of waste material, and we wanted to bring in. So you have one industry who is supporting us for doing the R&D, another industry who is helping us to bring this technology on field, along with our collaborators who are from UK. We do a lot of analysis in terms of whether it is really a feasible product. So you can see that there were 18 combinations which we could generate for a housing model. Based on that, we could come up with a result that almost if you come up for prefab, wherein the requirement or the demand is more than 400 cubic meters, you can definitely go for these kind of prefabricated structural units. So be it a small house or be it number of housing units, if you have any quantity requirement more than this, we can go for these lightweight concrete design products. Just to indicate that, can we take it further? We have done the time study analysis, wherein you can save almost 20% for just for a single unit I am talking about. Then when we go for experimental analysis, these are the physical sensors which we have put, and you have the model where you generate the data for the year. And for that analysis, when you go for the computational analysis, you get almost around 8% temperature control, which is again a key part wherein your cooling requirement can go down. And this is how the analysis where you go for energy analysis, almost 50% peak cooling demand has gone down. And with the help of developed prefab system, we could also check that how much embodied energy we can control. So which was again 12%. So this is one of the important aspects nowadays, which is coming up in the civil engineering industry, that how do you go for life cycle assessment of these kind of products which are novel? Will they last, or keeping in view as per the National Building Code requirements of 50 years of lifespan? When we have done this analysis, we could check that for these kind of products, your acidification potential, then eutrophication potential, global warming potential, and ozone layer depletion potential was much in control as compared to the standards. The key area that as a researcher, probably what we feel that how to transfer the technology from lab to field, which is again major challenge, how to generate the resources, but we have CSR, which is one of the major important aspects where we can definitely interact with the industries and they can help us out. So on that particular, I can say the concept, VNIT has taken a lot of efforts, and then we are now collaborated with a lot of other agencies, and this is how which is going to help. We have the standards which talks about green building designs, wherein primarily now we have started moving into the rural India, because we have been saying that there's a lot of innovation which is required in, or wherein facilitation for upliftment of the rural society is very much needed. So we follow the norms of green villages. We could successfully install these kind of toilet units just in one and a half day. Even the security guard rooms which were required, wherein for some of the industries or the kind of places. Again, these costing, if I talk about, so this toilet unit costs somewhere around 12,000 rupees, where our municipal authority has given a sanction of total 16,000, where commercially other bidders they are putting. So we are not into commercial business. We just develop the technology, we give it to the industry. Next, when we talk about the security guard room, wherein manufacturing doesn't cost more than 10 to 15,000. And if we just Google any kind of security guard room which costs somewhere around 45,000, we are selling it at, or the industry associated with us, they are selling it at a cost of 35,000 rupees. So that's it from my end. From sustainability point of view, I would like to highlight that we have to work on ecological footprints, economic aspect, and the societal acceptance of the novel products which we wish to pitch in the society. So with a saying that our future depends not on what will happen to us, but on what we decide to become, and on that they will create it. Thank you one and all for patient listening, and I would like to interact more if there are any kind of questions. Thank you. Over to you, sir. Over to you, session chair.
Thank you. Any questions for Rahul? I just had one question, Dr. Rahul. Are you taking up this project in all the states or only in the vicinity?
No. So primarily, again, we have been given. So as I said that we are working with the help of 3 other institutions. So CBRI is in like UP. So in UP, they are identifying their own ashes. For us, the idea is now we are primarily focusing for bio-based products. So again, the most important, and when we talk about the third institution, which is again NIST Jorad. So in NIST, they have a lot of bamboo. So the bamboo waste, then you have bagasse, or nowadays people they're calling as parali, and in Nagpur we have a lot of cotton waste. So at the end, when we are talking, we are giving the solutions for the agro-based products. So what happens now, we want to close this chain, that the agricultural person, whatever waste they are generating, it has to go to the industry, because in industries now we want to reduce the pollution. So they are using these bio-based products. These bio-based products, they are after burning. So those ashes nobody had touched earlier, or people are not aware, because we have been only using fly ash. So these all different kind of bio-based products has better, I can say, pozzolanic properties. They are light in weight, they are porous in nature, which are helping for thermal insulation of the products or the housing sector. So with that particular pitch, we are coming up. Now we are moving further with volumetric concrete. So wherein regular pods, or we can say there won't be any joints. So it will be directly the pod which will come to the site and you have to just install. So again, we are looking for some industry partners. If any one of you have very similar passion, I'll be more than happy to collaborate. And then we can take this particular concept further, because at the end of the day, we have to serve our nation. So that is it. That is my passion.
Do you convert every type of bio waste into ash before you?
We are not converting, sir. Now, what has happened because of urban sprawl, what we have seen in Nagpur, almost in the buffer zone, some of the industries which were in the outskirts, now they are within the city. And my pollution control board has given them the guideline, you cannot use the coal. They have to use alternate sources. So either they are using biobriquettes, or they are directly buying the material from these particular agricultural people, like, as I said, ricers cash. So now there is a common practice of co-firing. So in co-firing, what we do is almost 10% of my coal goes and 90% of biomass goes, where that is getting blended, and then that ash which comes is totally a different ash. So for those ashes we are working, and again, one of the important parts is alkali activation, where we are trying to come out of the cement industry, which will take time. But hopefully over some particular time span, new industries are getting set up in our country, which are working for cement-free production of the construction materials.
Sir, you mean to say parali can be used as a alternative fuel? So it can be.
Yes, it is being used, sir. It is being used.
Parali,
people are burning it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Rahul.
Pleasure meeting you all, sir. Thanks a lot. Jai Hind.
Professor Rekha Shinde.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your great knowledge with us.
Thank you.
I would like to express my gratitude to all for giving us their time out from their busy schedule and being with us. Thank you, all of you. Thank you, sir.
Sir, you would like to give any concluding remarks? Saurabh sir or Gurprasad sir?
I think Dr. Saurabh Jain may conclude.
Yes, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So first of all, I would like to thank you, the organizing committee of Udyamita, for inviting me as a session co-chair in this plenary session on the theme Innovation Infrastructure, Design Practices and Construction Technology for Sustainability. The speakers of this session were Dr. Kumar Pallav, Professor Cape Peninsula University of Technology, South Africa, Dr. Naveen Quatra, Professor Thapar University, Patiala, and Dr. Rahul V. Lalegaonkar, Professor VNIT Nagpur. Dr. Pallav started his session on characterization of heritage mortar for conservation and restoration work. He started with heritage structures, characterization of material needs, design of heritage mortars. After this, he has explained about evolution of mortar starting from 8000 BC, which was used in Mesopotamia and Babylonia. He has also explained problems with heritage sites like mortars peeling off, moisture movement problems, and waterlogging. He has also gave a brief on causes of degradation. He has also suggested some prevention techniques, and aesthetic properties that may be taken care of for sustainable architectural heritage. He has also given a brief on the development of PMC. He concluded with preservation of the authenticity of the materials and attention to be paid for to prepare the catalog for materials. Dr. Quatra started his session with introduction to structural health monitoring, steps required for structural health monitoring, structural health monitoring techniques and its working. He has wonderfully explained how acoustic emission differs from NDT with its advantages and limitations. He has also described waveform parameters and acoustic emission terminology. Also, he has explained about damage detection in RC structures using acoustic emission technique. He also demonstrated the concept by taking actual testing work. Finally, Dr. Ralegaonkar delivered his session on sustainable construction approach for social transformation. He started with PM Awas Yojana and PM Unnat Bharat Yojana, PM Unnat Bharat Abhiyan. He started the design component. He started his session with design components of PM Awas Yojana, where waste generation in India and novel product design philosophy with sustainable technologies that should be adapted for construction material resulting solid waste usage as development to binders and aggregates. He also gave a brief on raw materials, feasibility and product design. Some developed sustainable construction products, variety of raw materials and their cost impact, demonstration at VNIT, materials used there and performance evaluation. And also he has gave a brief on properties of developed product. So all of these speakers of this session have wonderfully make us understand about the key points related to the infrastructure, design and construction requirement for having sustainable development. Overall, it was a nice and wonderful and informative session. Hope we will have another association with all these speakers in the near future. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, sir. Sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Gurprasad sir, Saurabh sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ralegaonkar, sir.
We come to the end of the session. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.